We can't support this anymore, Elaine. The car is packed. We're leaving. I stared at my father, the campus parking lot suddenly spinning around me. My single dorm room suitcase sat pathetically at my feet, everything I owned in the world. Confusion clouded my thoughts as I tried to process his words. Dad, what are you talking about? I just started my computer science program last week. My mother wouldn't look at me. She kept her eyes fixed on the dashboard, sunglasses hiding whatever emotion might have been there. We didn't raise you for this. He gestured vaguely at the engineering building behind me. A lawyer, a doctor. Those were the options, Elaine. Not computers. He spat the word like it tasted bitter. You've made your choice. Now we're making ours. But the tuition, my housing, how am I supposed to? You wanted independence, programming. His voice dripped with disdain. Figure it out yourself. You're so smart, right? I reached for my mother. Mom, please. She finally turned, lowered her glasses. Her eyes were dry. We gave you everything, Elaine, and you threw it back in our faces. I didn't. I just wanted to. Your cell phone stays with us. It's on our plan. My father extended his hand. In a daze, I handed it over. How will I contact you? You won't need to. We're done. The finality in his voice froze me to the spot. Grandma, I whispered. She agrees with us. Don't go bothering her. They drove away without looking back. I stood there for hours, suitcase at my feet, trying to understand how choosing a computer science major instead of pre-law had just cost me my entire family. That was 20 years ago. I was 18 years old. I'm Sloane Matthews now. Changed my name from Elaine Hargrove the moment I could afford the legal fees. I'm 38, and I'm sitting in my corner office on the 32nd floor of a gleaming tower in downtown Seattle, rain pattering against floor-to-ceiling windows as I tell you this. Before I go any further, could you please take a few seconds to tell me in the comments where you're watching from? I want to know how far my story has reached, because for 20 years I've kept it locked inside me like a tumor growing larger every day. The day my parents abandoned me, I slept on a bench in the university library, then a study room, then a classmate's couch. I worked 3 jobs: cafeteria mornings, library afternoons, coding all night for anyone who'd pay me. I showered in the gym. I ate ramen and stole ketchup packets from the dining hall. I bought a cheap burner phone that rarely had minutes on it. I called my grandmother 7 times before she answered. Elaine, don't call again, she whispered. They've made up their minds. Grandma, please, I need a place to stay until… Your father is my son, I can't go against him. He says you've chosen your path. Can you at least give me their new number? They moved and… I promised I wouldn't. I'm sorry, Elaine. This is what they want. She hung up. I never reached her again. For 4 years, I existed in a fog of exhaustion and determination. I graduated top of my class, no family in the audience. I took a job at a small tech startup for half what I was worth because they offered health insurance. I slept under my desk most nights, those first 2 years. Saved every penny, learned every skill. The loneliness was a physical ache. I'd see parents helping students move in each fall, fathers carrying heavy boxes, mothers arranging dorm rooms, and the hole inside me would throb with such intensity I'd have to look away. But anger became my fuel. Every time I wanted to give up, I'd remember my father's face, that dismissive wave toward the engineering building. Not computers. I'd code another hour, learn another language, debug another system. When our startup got acquired, I had stock options. Not life-changing money, but enough to rent a real apartment. Enough to start feeling human again. I was 26. I tried to find them once, early on. Hired a private investigator with money I couldn't afford to spend. He came back with nothing. It's like they disappeared on purpose, he told me. Or someone with resources helped them. I eventually stopped looking. Built my life without them. Moved up through 3 more companies. Led teams. Created systems. Transformed from the girl sleeping on library couches to a woman people respected. Feared sometimes. I became known for my precision, my lack of sentimentality, my ability to see the architecture of complex systems and find their weaknesses. I dated occasionally. Nothing stuck. I had friends, but kept them at arm's length. The abandonment had taught me one clear lesson. Attachment is dangerous. Better to need no one. By 35, I was vice president of software engineering at a major financial technology company. We build the systems that banks use to determine creditworthiness, loan eligibility, risk assessment, the architecture that decides who gets money and who doesn't, the invisible scaffolding of modern financial life. My net worth passed 5 million last year, mostly stock options, some smart investments. I have a view of Puget Sound now, a sleek condo with minimalist furniture I rarely use. I travel internationally for work. I have 3 designer suits in identical styles, different colors. I wear my dark hair in a severe bob that requires little maintenance. I keep my nails short, unpolished. I'm efficient in all things. I was in a board meeting 2 months ago when my assistant slipped me a note. Man in reception insists on seeing you. Says he's your father. Security standing by. The pen in my hand snapped. Ink bled across the quarterly projections. 20 years of carefully constructed control, gone in an instant. Ms. Matthews, your thoughts on the Peterson account? I looked up to find the entire board staring at me. I had no idea what they'd been discussing. Give me a moment, I said, standing smoothly. Family emergency. The elevator ride down 32 floors was the longest of my life. What could he possibly want after 2 decades of silence? I'd become someone else entirely, built an identity he wouldn't recognize. Yet somehow, he'd found me. The lobby of our building is all marble and glass, designed to intimidate. I spotted him immediately. Smaller than I remembered, his once black hair now silver. He wore a cheap suit that hung poorly on his frame. He'd aged 20 years, of course, but somehow I'd expected him to look exactly the same as the day he drove away. Elaine, he said, stepping toward me. My name is Sloane, I replied, my voice steady despite the earthquake happening inside me. Sloane Matthews. He faltered slightly. You changed your name. You changed my life. Security hovered nearby. My assistant had followed me down, looking concerned. Is there a problem, Ms. Matthews? I should have said yes. Should have had him escorted out. 20 years of silence deserved at least that much in return. Instead, I said, no problem. An old acquaintance. We'll use conference room C. We rode up in silence. I watched his eyes widen at the technology around us, the security protocols, the deferent staff showed me as we walked through. The conference room had glass walls. Everyone could see us, but no one could hear us. Perfect. How did you find me? I asked, remaining standing as he sank into a chair. Your grandmother died last year. A small pain bloomed in my chest. I hadn't known. She kept your secret until the end, I said. Not exactly. He shifted uncomfortably. Among her things, we found a folder. News clippings about you. Industry magazine covers. She'd been following your career, though she never told us. I closed my eyes briefly. Grandma had been watching from afar. There was some small comfort in that. That doesn't explain how you found me. I changed my name. Your face hasn't changed, Elaine. Sloane. He corrected himself quickly. There was a picture of you accepting some award. Technology Woman of the Year or something. Once we had your new name, well, you're not exactly hiding. I wasn't. I'd done media appearances, keynote speeches. My company used my success in their marketing materials. I was visible, successful, everything they'd never wanted for me. What do you want? I asked, cutting to the chase. He looked down at his hands. They were spotted with age now, trembling slightly. Your mother and I were in trouble. Financial trouble. Of course. Not an apology. Not reconciliation. Money. Bad investments, he continued. Medical bills. The business is failing. We're about to lose the house. 20 years of silence, and he'd tracked me down to ask for a handout. Where is Mom? I asked. At a motel near the airport. She was too proud to come. Too proud. The irony was staggering. Let me understand, I said carefully. You abandoned me without a cent, left me homeless, cut all contact, and now you're here because you need money? He had the grace to look ashamed, but only briefly. We're your parents, Elaine. We raised you for 18 years, gave you everything, fed you, clothed you, educated you. Now we need help. You owe us. I owe you. Something inside me that had been tightly wound for 20 years suddenly snapped. I owe you? My voice was dangerously quiet. I slept on benches because of you. I went hungry because of you. I worked myself to exhaustion because of you. And look how well you turned out, he said, gesturing around us. You're successful because we pushed you to be independent. I stared at him, incredulous. Is that how you've justified it to yourself all these years? That abandoning your daughter was some kind of tough love strategy? We made a mistake, he admitted. We were angry. Your mother had always dreamed of having a daughter who was a doctor. My father was a lawyer. We had plans, Elaine. Sloan, he corrected again. But that's in the past now. We can be a family again. Your mother misses you. The fakeness of it all made me nauseous. 20 years of silence, and now they wanted to be a family again, right when they needed money. How much do you need? I asked flatly. His eyes lit up with naked hope. 200,000 would save the house and business. Maybe a bit more for your mother's medical bills. A drop in the bucket for me now. I could write a check without blinking. I stood up abruptly. I need to get back to my meeting. Leave your contact information with my assistant. So you'll help? His voice was eager. I'll think about it, I said. Where are you staying? The airport lodge on 188th, room 23. I'll be in touch. As I watched him walk away, shoulders slumped with age and worry. I should have felt something. Satisfaction, vindication, closure. Instead, I felt hollow, like someone had scooped out my insides and left nothing but echoing space. Back in my office, I pulled up our company database. We serviced over 70% of regional banks, including the one in my parents' town. With a few keystrokes, I had their financial records in front of me. My father hadn't been lying. They were underwater. Massive debt, medical bills. My mother had battled breast cancer 2 years ago. The small hardware store my father had run for 30 years was months from bankruptcy. Their mortgage was 3 payments behind. Credit cards maxed out. But there was something else, something that made my blood run cold. They'd taken out a Parent Plus loan for college 20 years ago. Not for me, I'd paid my own way with scholarships and crushing debt. No, this was for a name I didn't recognize. Meredith Hargrove. I had a sister. They'd had another child after abandoning me, a daughter they'd supported through medical school, a daughter who'd gotten everything I hadn't. I pulled up more records, my fingers flying over the keyboard. Meredith Hargrove, MD, 32 years old, pediatrician. They'd had her when my mother was 43. A replacement daughter who'd followed their chosen path. The room spun around me. 20 years of believing I wasn't good enough, and they'd simply replaced me. Given another daughter, all the love and support they'd ripped away from me. I'm not proud of what I did next. I hacked into her social media accounts, saw family Christmas photos, graduation ceremonies. My parents, beaming with pride, standing next to a young woman with my mother's eyes and my father's smile. Family vacations, birthday celebrations, everything I had been denied. I sat back in my chair, stunned by the depth of betrayal. It wasn't just that they'd abandoned me. They'd erased me, started over, created the daughter they'd wanted all along. And now they wanted my money. I could feel something dangerous awakening inside me, something I'd kept carefully contained for 20 years. The rage of that 18-year-old girl, standing in a parking lot with a suitcase, watching her parents drive away. I had access to their entire financial life. I could see everything, every purchase, every debt, every failing attempt to save their crumbling lives. And more importantly, I had the power to determine what happened next. One phone call. That's all it would take. One conversation with the regional director of their bank, who happened to be our biggest client. One suggestion about risk assessment for certain types of loans in their age bracket. They would never know it was me. Never understand that the algorithms suddenly finding them too risky. The loan applications mysteriously denied, the credit suddenly unavailable, all of it controlled by the daughter they'd thrown away. I picked up my phone, my hand steady now. Janet, get me Thomas Roberts at First Regional on the line. Tell him it's about their risk assessment models, and cancel my meetings for the rest of the day. I stared out at the Seattle skyline, rain still falling steadily, and felt the first real smile in months spreading across my face. They had abandoned their daughter for money. Now they were about to learn exactly what financial abandonment felt like. My meeting with Thomas Roberts was brief and devastatingly effective. Sloan, always good to hear from you. What can I do for my favorite software partner? I leaned back in my chair, phone pressed to my ear, watching raindrops race down my office window. Thomas, we've noticed some concerning patterns in loan approvals for small business owners nearing retirement age, particularly those with recent medical debt. Oh, his interest was immediately piqued. Our company's risk assessment models were gold standard in the industry. When we noticed patterns, banks listened. Yes, our data shows they're defaulting at a significantly higher rate than we previously modeled. I'd suggest flagging any applications fitting that profile for enhanced scrutiny. How much higher are we talking? I pulled a number from thin air. 37%. He whistled low. That's substantial. We've got several applications in that exact demographic pending right now. I thought you might. My voice remained professional, detached, just looking out for your bottom line, Thomas. This is why we value our partnership, Sloan. Consider those applications flagged. Anything else? Actually, yes. We're also seeing concerning data around HELOC applications for underwater properties in your region. Might want to tighten those requirements too. Done and done. Sending the directive to underwriting today. I hung up and closed my eyes. Phase 1 complete. My parents' loan application to save their business would be denied by morning. Their attempt to access their home equity, which I'd already seen pending in their accounts, would meet the same fate. Was it unethical? Absolutely. Was it illegal? Technically not. I hadn't specifically named them or their applications. I'd simply adjusted the algorithm that would judge them. Made a policy recommendation based on fabricated data. I should have felt guilty. Instead, I felt a cold clarity I hadn't experienced in years. That evening, I drove to the airport lodge. It was exactly as depressing as its name suggested. A 2-story motel with peeling paint and a flickering vacancy sign. I sat in my Audi watching their room, gathering courage. My mother emerged around 6 p.m., looking frail and thin, her once vibrant red hair now gray and limp. She wore clothes that hung on her frame, making her look smaller than I remembered. Cancer had taken its toll. For a moment, pity threatened to unravel my resolve. Then I remembered the photos of her beaming at Meredith's medical school graduation, the family vacations, the Christmases, 20 years of memories created while I ate ramen alone in empty apartments. The pity evaporated. I watched her get into their old sedan, the same car they'd driven away in 20 years ago, now rusted and dented, and pull out of the parking lot, probably going to get dinner. I waited 10 minutes, then approached room 23 and knocked. My father opened the door, surprise registering on his face. Sloan, I wasn't expecting you so soon. May I come in? I asked, my voice betraying nothing of the storm inside me. The room was small, with 2 sagging double beds and a table covered in papers. Financial documents, from what I could see, bills, collection notices, loan applications. Your mother went to pick up some food, he said nervously. She'll be disappointed to miss you. Will she? I asked, picking up a hospital bill from the table. Or will she be disappointed when she learns her loan applications are about to be denied? His face paled. How did you? I know everything, Dad. I set the bill down carefully. I know about your failing business, Mom's cancer, the mortgage that's underwater, the maxed out credit cards. He sank onto one of the beds. Then you understand why we need help. Oh, I understand perfectly. I remained standing, power dynamics clear in our positions. I also understand about Meredith. The color drained from his face. You know about your sister? The replacement daughter? The one who followed your plan? Became a doctor like Mom wanted? Yes, I know all about Dr. Meredith Hargrove. It wasn't like that. What was it like then? My voice remained eerily calm. Explain it to me. How exactly do you justify abandoning one daughter and then having another to replace her? He looked down at his hands. We never stopped loving you, Elaine. Sloane, I corrected automatically. Your mother couldn't have children easily. Meredith was unexpected, a miracle at her age. And convenient timing, 2 years after you threw me away. We made a terrible mistake, he admitted, and for the first time I heard genuine regret in his voice. We were stubborn, prideful. By the time we realized how wrong we'd been, you disappeared, changed your name. We tried to find you once, about 10 years ago, but you didn't try hard enough. I finished for him. And now you need money. He nodded miserably. Does Meredith know about me? I asked. He hesitated. No. We told her she was an only child. The confirmation felt like a physical blow. They hadn't just abandoned me. They'd erased me completely. She's a pediatrician, he continued, a hint of pride creeping into his voice. Working at a clinic in Portland. Doesn't make much money, but she loves it. Followed the approved career path, I noted coldly. Sloane, please. Whatever you're thinking. Did you ever wonder about me? I interrupted. During those 20 years? Did you ever worry whether I had food? A place to sleep? Whether I was even alive? He looked away, unable to meet my eyes. Of course not, I answered for him. Because I was the failed experiment. The daughter who disappointed you. That's not fair. Fair? The word exploded from me. The first crack in my carefully controlled facade. You want to talk to me about fair? I worked 3 jobs to feed myself while you were taking family vacations with my replacement. I slept on benches and under desks while you were helping Meredith move into her dorm. I cried myself to sleep for years wondering what I did wrong while you were celebrating her medical school acceptance. He flinched with each statement. Your loan applications will be denied, I said, my voice flat again. All of them. Today, tomorrow, next month. No bank in this region will touch you. His eyes widened. How could you possibly? My company designs the algorithms that determine credit risk, the systems that decide who gets loans and who doesn't. One phone call from me, and you became too high risk for any bank to consider. You can't do that, he whispered, horror dawning on his face. I already have. We'll lose everything. Yes, I agreed. You will. He stared at me like I was a stranger, and I was. The daughter he'd abandoned would never have had this power, never have become this person. What do you want from us? He asked finally. Money? We don't have any. An apology? Would that even matter now? I considered his question. What did I want? Revenge felt hollow now that I was face to face with him. This broken old man wasn't the towering figure who had shattered my world. I want you to tell Meredith about me, I said finally. I want her to know she has a sister. I want the truth. Before he could respond, the door opened. My mother stood there, plastic takeout bags in her hands, staring at me like she'd seen a ghost. Elaine, she whispered. It's Sloane now, my father said quietly. She set the bags down with trembling hands, 20 years older, frail from cancer treatments, yet unmistakably the woman who'd refused to look at me that last day. You found us, she said unnecessarily. Dad found me, actually. Came to my office asking for money. Her eyes flashed to him, something unspoken passing between them. He shouldn't have done that, she said. I told him not to. Too proud to beg? I asked. Too ashamed, she corrected, surprising me. Too aware of what we did to you. She moved further into the room, sinking onto the bed beside my father. They looked small together, diminished by age and worry and illness. I was so angry with you, she said softly. You were supposed to be a doctor, like I never got to be. My dreams were not mine to fulfill. I finished for her. I know that now. A tear slipped down her cheek. I've known it for years. Not enough to reach out. Not enough to tell Meredith about me. She flinched at my sister's name. How did you? I know everything. I repeated what I'd told my father. Every debt, every failed loan application, every family vacation you took with her while I was struggling to survive. We thought you'd never forgive us, she whispered. And then it had been so long. It seemed impossible to bridge that gap. So you pretended I never existed. She nodded, another tear falling. It was easier than facing what we'd done. Well, now you get to face it all at once, I said. The daughter you abandoned has the power to destroy you financially, and I've already set it in motion. My mother looked to my father, who nodded grimly. She works for the company that controls the bank's lending algorithms, he explained. She's made sure we'll be denied. My mother closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, there was a resignation there I hadn't expected. We deserve that, she said simply. Her acceptance deflated something in me. I'd expected denial, anger, justifications, not this quiet acknowledgement of guilt. You're not going to fight me on this? I asked, suddenly uncertain. What would be the point? She looked at me directly for the first time. You're right to hate us. We failed you completely. I don't hate you, I said, surprised to find it was true. I just needed you to understand what it felt like. To lose everything. To have no safety net. No family to turn to. We understand now, my father said quietly. We sat in uncomfortable silence for a long moment. I want to meet her, I said finally. Meredith. They exchanged glances again. She doesn't know about you, my mother repeated. Then it's time she learned the truth. That's my price. Complete honesty with her about what you did. Then I'll consider helping you financially. She'll hate us, my father said. Maybe, I shrugged. Or maybe she'll help you understand how to make amends. From what I've gathered, she seems like a decent person. She is, my mother said, a hint of the same pride I'd heard in my father's voice. She's kind, compassionate. Unlike her sister, I said dryly. No, my mother surprised me again. Not unlike you at all. You were always compassionate too, Elaine. Sloane, we're the ones who changed. Another silence fell between us. Call her, I said. Now, put it on speaker. My father hesitated, then pulled out his phone. I watched him dial with shaking hands and set it on the table between us. Dad? A bright voice answered. Everything okay? You never call this late. Everything's fine, sweetie, he said, his voice strained. There's something your mother and I need to tell you. Something we should have told you a long time ago. You're scaring me, she said, concern evident in her tone. Is it Mom? Is the cancer back? No, nothing like that, my mother interjected. It's about your sister. Silence on the other end. My what? Meredith finally asked. Dad, Mom, what are you talking about? You have an older sister, my father said, his voice breaking slightly. Her name was Elaine. Is Sloane now. She's actually sitting here with us. I don't understand, Meredith said slowly. How could I have a sister I've never heard about? That's not possible. We had a falling out, my mother explained weakly. 20 years ago. 20 years? Meredith's voice rose. I'm 32. You're saying I had a sister my entire life and you never told me? How is that possible? What kind of falling out explains that? I caught my mother's eye and raised an eyebrow. Your move, I mouthed silently. She took a deep breath. We abandoned her, she said clearly. When she was 18, starting college, she wanted to study computer science, and we cut her off, completely, left her with nothing. The silence from the phone was deafening. You did what? Meredith finally whispered. We were wrong, my father added. Terribly, unforgivably wrong. Where is she now? Meredith asked. Is she okay? I'm here, I said, speaking for the first time. And yes, I'm fine now. Better than fine, actually. Oh my God, Meredith breathed. I can't believe this. I have a sister. All this time. They replaced me with you, I said, unable to keep the edge from my voice. The daughter who would follow their plan. That's not true, my mother protested. Isn't it? I challenged. I was pregnant before you left, she said quietly. We didn't know yet. We weren't trying. The doctors had told me it wasn't possible anymore. This revelation hit me hard. The timeline I'd constructed, that they'd immediately tried to replace me, crumbled. You were already pregnant? I repeated. She nodded. 2 months along when you left for college. I found out 3 weeks later. Why didn't you tell me? Call me then? Pride, my father admitted. Stubbornness. And then, shame. How could we tell you we were having another child right after abandoning you? On the phone, Meredith was quietly crying. I can't believe you kept this from me. My whole life. A lie. Not a lie, my mother said. Just an omission. A pretty massive one, Meredith and I said simultaneously, then fell silent, surprised at the synchronicity. I want to meet you, Meredith said after a moment. My sister, Sloane. I can drive up tomorrow. I hadn't expected this. The instant acceptance, the eagerness, it threw me off balance. Yes, I'd like that, I found myself saying. We arranged a time and place, a coffee shop near my office, neutral ground. After she hung up, I looked at my parents, these strangers who had shaped my life through their absence. I haven't forgiven you, I said clearly. I don't know if I ever will. We understand, my father said, but I won't destroy you financially. That was an impulse, a need to make you feel what I felt. Relief washed over their faces. I'll call the bank tomorrow. Reverse my recommendation. Your loans should process normally. I stood to leave. After that, we'll see what happens. Thank you, my mother whispered. Don't thank me yet, I warned. I'm still processing 20 years of abandonment, and now the knowledge that I have a sister who got everything I didn't. She'd have shared it, my mother said softly. If she'd known. She's that kind of person. I nodded curtly and headed for the door. Sloane, my father called. I paused but didn't turn. For what it's worth, we're proud of you. What you've accomplished, who you've become, without any help from us. You're right about that last part, I said and left. I met Meredith the next day. The resemblance was subtle but undeniable. Same chin, same laugh. But where I was sharp edges, she was soft curves. Where I was calculated precision, she was warm empathy. The doctor and the tech executive. Nature versus nurture playing out in flesh and blood. I was so angry when I hung up, she admitted over coffee. I yelled at them for an hour on the phone after you left. How could they do that to you? How could they keep you from me? They made a choice, I said simply. A terrible one. They're not bad people, she said, then immediately backtracked. I mean, what they did to you was horrific, unforgivable, but they were good parents to me, loving, supportive. I'm glad, I said, surprised to find I meant it. One of us should have had that. She reached across the table and took my hand. I nearly pulled away. Physical contact wasn't something I allowed easily anymore, but I let her hold it. Tell me everything, she said. I want to know my sister. So I did. The whole story, from that day in the parking lot to building my career from nothing. She cried several times. I didn't, having long ago trained myself not to. They're in serious financial trouble, she said when I finished. Dad's business is failing. Mom's medical bills, they're drowning. I know, I've seen their finances. She raised an eyebrow, and I explained about my company's access to their banking records. That's a bit terrifying, she said with a small laugh. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Too late. You're the replacement daughter. You were born on my bad side. Her face fell, and I immediately regretted my words. I'm sorry, I said. That's not fair to you. None of this is your fault. But I benefited from it, she said quietly. I got the parents who should have been supporting both of us. We sat with that uncomfortable truth for a moment. What are you going to do about them? She finally asked. Financially, I mean. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to let them lose everything. Experience what I did. And the other part? I sighed. Wonders if that would just make me like them. Cruel. Unforgiving. She nodded thoughtfully. For what it's worth, I think helping them would be for you, not them, to prove you're not what they made you. Her insight surprised me. Perhaps pediatricians understood human nature better than I gave them credit for. I have a proposition, I said after a moment. A compromise. I'm listening. I'll help them financially, clear the medical debt, save the house. But the business stays closed. Dad retires, and they go to therapy, family therapy, with all of us. They need to face what they did, not just to me, but to you too, lying to you your entire life. She considered this, then nodded. I think that's fair. More than fair, actually. And one more condition, I added. You and I, we try to be sisters, real ones. I've never had family. Not really. I don't know how to do this. Her smile was radiant. I'd like that. I always wanted a sister. We met with our parents the next day, laid out my terms. They accepted immediately, gratefully, too gratefully. Perhaps it made me uncomfortable, their eagerness to take my money after everything. But as Meredith had said, this wasn't for them. It was for me, to prove I wasn't defined by their abandonment. The first therapy session was brutal. I finally cried, 20 years of pain breaking through my carefully constructed walls. My mother cried too. My father sat stone-faced until the therapist pressed him. Then he broke down as well. Meredith held my hand through all of it. It's been 6 months since then. I won't pretend everything is fixed. My parents and I have a fragile, tentative relationship. Sometimes I still feel the urge to punish them, to make them hurt like I did, but those moments are becoming less frequent. Meredith and I, though, that's different. We talk daily now. She's the sister I never knew I needed, the family I never thought I'd have. Last month, I was her maid of honor when she married her longtime boyfriend. Next week, she's helping me move into a new house, one with a guest room specifically for her visits. I still run my company with the same precision and focus, but there's something else there now too. A softening around the edges, a willingness to let people in, just a little. As for my parents, they're living modestly in a small condo I purchased for them. Dad is adjusting to retirement. Mom's cancer remains in remission. We have dinner together once a month. Still awkward, still tense sometimes, but we're trying. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive them. Some wounds are too deep, some scars too permanent. But I've learned something important through all of this. Revenge might feel satisfying in the moment, but healing is the true power move. If you're watching this and you've experienced abandonment, betrayal, or pain from those who should have protected you, I want you to know something. Your worth isn't determined by their failure. Your future isn't limited by their mistakes. You can build something beautiful from the ashes they left you in. If you found something valuable in my story, please hit that like button. Share it with someone who might need to hear that they're not defined by who left them behind. Subscribe if you want to hear more about how I'm navigating this new, complicated family dynamic. The comment section is open if you want to share your own experience. Sometimes just knowing we're not alone in our pain is the first step toward healing. Thank you for listening, for witnessing, for being part of my journey from abandonment to something like forgiveness. Not for them, for me.